So the other day I made a mistake. I know, shocking, right? um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how I process it because I noticed that there are some beneficial and healthy ways that I process mistakes and some like not so helpful ways that I process mistakes that really cause a lot more turmoil in my mind. And I think that maybe I've remembered correctly, Venerable sharing something like, the mistake itself isn't quite so important, but it's really, what we do after that, like how we're going to learn from our mistakes. And so seeing that, after I make a mistake, I can go into kind of this self-deprecating place of like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. I'm so incompetent. I never do anything right, and just really kind of exaggerating, negative qualities and this storyline in my mind, projecting, maybe what other people are thinking about me. Um, my attachment to reputation and my people-pleasing habit of like, oh gosh, they're just gonna hate me. They're not gonna ever, trust anything that I ever say again. They're always gonna think I'm in this horrible mood. Um, and when I start going down this kind of road, there's just really no way to look at the situation more objectively and see what can I learn from this, because I'm just so much spinning in this like I'm the worst sort of place. And so I noticed that really coming to have more self-acceptance of the fact, as much as I'd like to be perfect, I'm not, that I do make mistakes, that I did make a mistake. And this really helps me see that I have some room to grow and that I want to grow. And that I can even come to this place where it's like, I'm actually really glad this happened because it helped me see this area where I have a big opportunity to grow, where I didn't realize that I didn't, know this information that I shared that I thought I was pretty confident about, but it turned out it was not accurate. And if I hadn't, gone ahead and shared that or made that mistake, I wouldn't know what I don't know. And so I can see that as, really this benefit of the mistake is to give me some, just this enthusiasm and energy to let's make sure that this doesn't happen again by being, more aware of what I'm sharing, more aware of what I'm doing. And and then when I can have this acceptance of seeing my role in the mistakes and not really putting it on others, like maybe, okay, so it wasn't just one mistake I had the other day. There was a couple of things that I didn't do like I wish I had done. And one of them was to respond to a person, with a kind of an angry tone. And so instead of, this attitude that's like, well, of course they were, saying something that I didn't like, so my attitude was justified. When I can take that responsibility and that acceptance of like, I had some anger there, I can work on that, then it also becomes this opportunity for growth instead of just like blame and rumination and kind of having this uneasy feeling in my own heart and some, tension in that relationship. Because when I can own my role in things, also it opens the door for me to be able to apologize and clear the air from my side. Like whether someone else is in the mood to apologize or hopefully they want to hear what I have to say, and hopefully I can present it in a way that's friendly and easy to listen to. But when I can take responsibility for my contributions, then in my own heart, that relationship doesn't have so much tension between us, and it's just easier to engage in other activities. And that taking responsibility also can help me make it less personal, that it's not this like solid me that is making mistakes, that's always making mistakes. But actually, I can see that there's afflictions in my mind, even when I do things unintentionally, or maybe especially when I do things unintentionally. Often there is maybe some anger, some confusion, some laziness. So I can see like what were some of the different afflictions that were at play here. What were the habits that were pushing me? That it's not such this, I'm not this unchangeable thing, but I also am under the sway of habits that I've been doing for a long time. And when I can see that these habits are actually leading me to do things that harm others, then there's more motivation to be more attentive to that, to see where are these situations where I need to pay more attention so that I don't just fall into my old habits and ruts. And then also, what are the antidotes to these afflictions, and how can I work with that? What's the work that I need to do on the cushion, kind of going back through these situations and seeing them in a more realistic way, seeing how I would have liked to act. Seeing what was it that where my mindset was such that my speech and my actions were propelled in a way that wasn't really beneficial. And I was also reflecting on our wonderful habit of doing the practice of the Bodhisattva's confession of ethical downfalls each day. That now I'm really in this habit of each day recalling something unskillful that I've done. And so it is an opportunity to just be honest with myself, to really acknowledge that there's many things that I do that I can do better and improve on. And to also distinguish this feeling between regret and really sincerely wishing that I hadn't done this and that I don't want to do this again, and then falling more into that like shame and blame and self-deprecating cycle or circle into the tubes, so that when things come up during the day, I can notice a difference of when my mind is going in this unhelpful direction and when, what is a more healthy kind of regret sort of feeling of like, dang, that was really unskillful. I really want to make amends, even though it's like better not to break the cup and drop it in the first place. Thankfully, when I can have that acceptance and be more honest with myself about my role, I can glue the cup back together a bit better instead of just tossing it out and being like, no problem, I'll just keep on, in my afflictions and whirling dervish attitude in life. The 4 opponent powers and really this habit of generating regret in a healthy way so that I can see I do things unskillfully, but I can also repair that and come back to my refuge in the Buddha, look at these beings who have all good qualities that I really want to be like, and that I have that potential, and that each time I can see these areas for growth, I'm going to be working towards that potential bit by bit. And samsara is messy. I don't think I'll be ending mistakes anytime soon. But when I can shift them from seeing them as like something bad, like, and then, classifying myself as a bad person, but really seeing them as opportunities for growth and that I am a person who is growing, then my mind doesn't get so bogged down by them. And instead, they really help me in my practice. And it also helps me in the way that I see others, because when I make mistakes, then I have more understanding when I see other people make mistakes that I'm kind of embarrassed about this habit, but sometimes when others make mistakes, there's this little I want to be sure that you know how bad that mistake was. And I know that I actually hate that when someone does that to me. And so as I make mistakes and see that I am, pretty hard on myself and can also navigate it myself, I see that when others make mistakes, like if they're aware of what they're doing and want to improve, that there's no need for me to kind of rub that in. And it also helps me know that I am so much bigger than my mistakes. Like I do many things that benefit people every day, even when there are some things that I do incorrectly, unskillfully, wrong, that I'm so much bigger than what these, mistaken things are. And same with others when I see, maybe others are just like me, pushed by their habits and have a habit of doing certain things incorrectly often. But they're also so much bigger than that habit, that mistake. And so instead of just focusing on like, hey, here's this person who's always doing X, Y, and Z, to see them in this more vast way, just like I want others to see me as much more than my mistakes. And maybe that's not always easy for others, but that's how I would like to be seen. So I think that I can help create those causes by seeing others also in that more beneficial way. And I was reminded of this verse from Shantideva in the first chapter as a reminder to come back to this bodhicitta aspiration and how helpful this is in purifying and developing confidence, to go forward through mistakes. And this is from the first chapter on the benefits of bodhicitta. As though they pass through perils guarded by a hero, even those weighed down with extremely harmful actions will instantly be freed with bodhicitta. Why do those who fear their negative actions not have recourse to it? And so I can come back to this bodhicitta aspiration when I am confused, when I am just circling in this like self-doubt of, do I know anything? Can I do anything right? To come back to wanting to be of benefit to others. And what can I do right now to create the causes to support my good habits? How can I purify? What would be kind of, how can I develop the humility and acceptance so that I can make an apology and repair this relationship with others? And with bodhicitta in mind, although it's just this aspiration at this point, it provides a lot of clarity of how to move forward. Of like, of course I'm going to apologize. Of course I'm going to own my mistakes, because I see that this is it just makes the most sense. This is I would only be pretending and kind of lying to myself and others, and that's not going to be of benefit. So it just really clarifies that self-acceptance and making amends and really being okay that I make mistakes is in line with this bodhicitta and wanting to be of benefit. And the self-grasping and self-centeredness can really hijack my mind when I am stewing in this place of really the shame and the blame. And the bodhicitta can really counteract that of just reminding me I'm so much bigger than my mistakes, that my potential is so much bigger than this unskillful action that I have done. And that the Buddhas are all really supporting us in cultivating our highest potentials. They don't want us to be mired in self-doubt and guilt and blame, but they also want us to see our potential and want us to rise up to that. And so bodhicitta is an incredibly powerful antidote to come back to when I am feeling, this confused, this uneasiness because of my unskillful actions, and just can really support me to have confidence in the direction that I'm going, knowing that my afflictions make things difficult and make things messy, but bit by bit, we can change this perspective of mistake into seeing it as an opportunity and helping it fuel our practice.